Hello, Silva Squad. Y'all, it's another day, another chapter, another page in the trifling story of Letecia Stauch. Now, this video is going to have a couple of things going on. We're mainly focusing on the recent divorce hearings that took place, but there's also a quick little update after this. And I do believe the day that I'm filming this, Wednesday, she has another hearing or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. That's only to say you might be seeing another Letecia update this week. Oh my God. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Now, before we get started on it, Spencer Wilson, if you follow this case, you probably follow him on Twitter. He is a reporter, and he was kind enough to be like basically live tweeting and keeping us up to date. He's been following this case from the get-go. His information is in the description if you want to, read the full article, read his live tweets, and follow him to get like up-to-the-minute updates. So what I want to talk about is specifically some of the things that we learned from this hearing. Now, do I believe most of the stuff that we learned? Probably not. But also, thank goodness for Al, his family, all of them, that this is one step closer to just removing himself from that horrifying woman. So let's talk about some of the things that we learned during the hearing. So remember that Letecia Stauch was Al's wife, and that last September, when she was arrested, once all this started coming to light, what obviously happened to his son Gannon, he started divorce proceedings. So this hearing that we were looking at is more like them divvying up property and that kind of stuff. Now, of course, the hearing was going to be pushed back because guess what? Wait for it. Letecia was a no-show. Now, I absolutely love this judge because he just wasn't putting up with any of this stuff. So while they're waiting to do that, and again, Spencer's like live tweeting this stuff, and he was like, look, I don't have 100% proof of this part right here. It is literally something that I overheard the court clerk telling Al, but they're basically like, she's in a wheelchair, and he's like, huh? And they're like, huh? And so this came as a surprise to like everybody. Now here's my question. Number one, we didn't get a confirmation that day because she wasn't there, and they couldn't set up the WebEx, the whole 9 yards. She made this obviously a very difficult process for everyone involved. It wouldn't be her if she didn't. But my question is this, I'm like, are we talking wheelchair? Are we talking restraint chair? Are we talking a combo of both? Because honestly, it might take that damn combo to get this thing going on her. Now, like I said, these little shenanigans and her not showing up and all that, this judge is like, not in this courtroom. That ain't gonna slow me down a bit. Now, the judge also had a few things to say about her last court appearance. And he was like, she was in a room all by herself, yet she was, talking and responding as if people were in there with her. And at one point, she started like grabbing at little like invisible butterflies in the room. So let's sidebar that for one damn second. Y'all, so far we have peanut butters making threats. We have invisible butterflies. It doesn't stop with this situation. And you have to ask yourself along the way. It's like, is she trying to go for an insanity thing? But if she's doing that, why in God's name does she try to convince them that she is sane enough to represent herself? Which we'll get to at the end. Now, the judge also said this isn't the kind of detachment from reality that I've ever seen, which to me was AKA for, she's full of it, I ain't buying it. Now, also, he said this is like a Three Stooges act, and thank you for him saying that. I love his candid responses, because that's exactly what this woman is doing, in addition to the horrible stuff that she has done and continues to put this family through. Now, in addition to saying that her actions and behaviors are just theatrics, he said, look, if Judge Warner found her, competent enough to have, proceed in that hearing, she's going to do just fine here. Let's roll. So again, they proceed without her. And so now here's some of the things that I was like, interesting. First of all, we learn of the financial hardship that this situation has put Al through. Obviously, the biggest loss here is of his son, Gannon. No question or any comparison. But when I started hearing this stuff, I was like, wow, if that's not the damn salt in the wound for this family. So he's run up around $75,000 in lawyer fees. He's paying like $1,000 per month for cars that are still in police custody. So, and again, not to mention the emotional and mental hardship that, this is still so fresh. You don't ever get over something like this. And when you have the perpetrator continually dragging this out and making every step this crazy, and also never once taking any responsibility. Now I get, remove myself emotionally from it. I'm like, okay, so this is, no one's going to take responsibility at this point in the game because they haven't even gone to trial yet. Okay, I get it. But to go the route that she's going with some of the stuff that we'll hear, I'm just like, why? That's just, I have so many whys with this. But let's continue. Now, when it did come to like property and possessions and stuff like that, I was like, look, I don't want any of her stuff, okay? I just don't want her getting my stuff. And now, again, I know that we are all presumed innocent, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get our day in court. But it's always interesting to me when you hear like the way the judge divides things up and Al speaking and stuff, to me, I'm thinking as if this is even going to be an option. Like, she's never going to get any of this stuff in prison. And I know that I shouldn't assume that somebody's going to be found guilty, but I mean, come on. There was apparently no property in her name, no real possessions in her name, and some of the stuff that she was claiming that she had or whatever, I was like, I didn't even know that existed. Now, Al was also like, look, I'm giving up the French bulldog that I gave her for Christmas. Don't really want that reminder. I'm guessing that's what he was thinking. So there was that part. Now, there's also talk about guns, which I thought was interesting. So there was questions around 4 different firearms. So now those firearms are in police custody, and they did clarify that if one of those was found to have been, utilized in what happened to Gannon, that it should be destroyed. Now, what happened is, Al will end up getting those weapons or whatever. There is one that apparently was Letecia, so I guess maybe that was in her name. And if she's acquitted, she'll get possession of that again. I ain't holding my breath on that one. Now, here's the other thing. In addition to, fake butterflies, peanut butter threats, Letecia claims that she has a book deal. She is going to write a book when she, gets this behind her, when she's acquitted, whatever. And so, of course, that is being brought up. There's like the secret book deal account, postmark account. And Al's like, yeah, I don't want any of that. You can keep your blood money, honey, as if it was real anyways. Now, there was also some jewelry claims, but the judge was like, that was false. That, that's not a thing. And so he doesn't have to give Letecia that because he doesn't have it. Now, the judge was like, look, I'm taking into the fact that Al ran up a lot of debt and Letecia, not so much. So the judge was like, look, she's not going to get any of Al's retirement. And I'm like, thank God, can you imagine? I would just be like, oh my God, no. And the judge is like, Letecia can keep her retirement. I think they pay about 50 cents a day in the big pen. So by age 67, she should be looking at about $250. Now, the judge also did say that Letecia could have the book deal. Now, Al would also get to keep the cars except for the one that Letecia got herself. Now, it also sounds like she plans on filing a civil suit when she gets out of prison. So all that kind of stuff. Obviously, she is still going with this, she's innocent. She's being wrongly convicted in this whole story she's come up with. So again, my heart goes out to Al and the family. It's just, I can't believe what they went through. This case, all these cases, send shivers down my spine. This is one of those cases that when I think about it, I start going through it and I'm like, just the audacity of Letecia and the manner of what she did is so grotesque and shocking and vile. This case just really POs me, to be honest. Now, Al did speak with the media after the hearing, and he said a few things. Now, he did say, it feels like a weight has been lifted. And he did talk about, look, this is, compounding. This is serious, especially anticipating this criminal trial coming up. And basically, he's like, what, I'm just ready to be done and move on. Obviously, the best you can move on from a situation like this. I'm sure getting Letecia in the past, now, sadly, when I say the past, she's going to probably always be popping up in his life type thing, but just the intensity of having to deal with this every single day, all these different proceedings, I can only imagine how emotionally exhausting that is. Now, here's the other thing. Remember, Letecia was like, I'm going to represent myself. I'm going to represent myself. I'm the only one who can do the job. And y'all, we went through the hearings. If there's other videos I did on it, if you want to watch the playlist. But y'all, she just, ran everybody through the damn coals over wanting to represent herself. The judge finally lets her do it against everyone's, best advice, all that. Well, then when it comes down time to go to the law library, she's basically like, no, I'm not going. The time slots don't work for me and my medication. And you're just like, what alternate universe is this? What? So she was taken off of, the ability to even go use the law library for 90 days. Well, her hearing's coming up. I mean, it's not even 2-3 weeks away, I believe. So how's that going to happen? It's not. She filed to get a public defender again. And so obviously that's what the judge is going to have to do. And so it's one of those things where you're just like, really? You just put everyone, and I say everyone, first and foremost, I mean Al and his family, taxpayers, the court system, all that kind of stuff, the people she's dealing with. I can only imagine having to be her public defender. I mean, it's probably like a Kirk Nermy, Jodi Arias situation all over again. I can't fathom it. So there's that. Now, we knew this was going to happen. We knew this was coming down the pipeline. It's probably best because it will help push things forward. And trust me, I personally think this judge is going to be like, no, done. We're going to dot our I's and cross our T's like we have to, for appeal purposes, that kind of stuff. But this judge, like everybody else, all of us viewers as well, is probably over her BS. If you want to watch more of my coverage on cases like this, click the playlist that's popping up. Also, if you like scary movie reviews, thriller movie reviews, that kind of thing, check out my new channel. I'm doing little movie reviews in kind of like a story time type format. So be sure to check that out. It's called A Slice of Spice and a Dice. The link is in the description. Thank you to everybody, mods, subscribers, watchers, Patreons, channel members, you name it. I appreciate it. Thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing my stuff. I really appreciate it. And the Sofa Squad wouldn't be here without you. Until next time, I'll see you then.